Here we are with Mouseguard, a Canadian tale, episode 7 / the winter episode / the outroduction. You know, the wrap-up episode we do, listeners.
I'm Tyler, and to my left we have X playing Y.
Kevin playing Renard.
Peter as Finn Smallpaws.
Devin as Gearhart.
And Nicole is Gwen.
Take it away, Tyler.
Okay,
Oh,
so-
wait. It is January 2019. Take it away, Tyler.
So the winter session is kind of a bookkeeping level up / pause for reflection moment. The first thing that happens is you all rest and recover. When you get back to Lockhaven, there's a lot of celebrations. The different patrols come back in. People are toasted. A lot of food is brought out. Things are very comfy for you. So if any of your nature is taxed, you can restore it to your starting maximum rating.
Whoa!
Also, not every mouse has their birthday in the winter, but the winter session is a good time to remember that you aged a year, so everyone goes up a year.
Oh, shit.
You also get to practice your skills. You're going to practice 3 different skills because you do a lot of training over the winter in Lockhaven. When your character practices a skill, note a test for advancement. You can choose whether it's a pass or a fail. You don't have to roll it, you just choose. You can practice 1 patrol skill. A patrol skill is one of the skills that your character started with. And then you practice 1 non-patrol skill, which is a skill that's not from your character's skill list. So patrol skill would be anyone that's listed for a tender paw, and a non-patrol skill would be one that's not listed for a tender paw, for you. And then you practice 1 skill that you don't have. It can be a completely new skill or a skill you're currently trying to learn.
Okay.
Just go and give yourself 3 passes or fails.
Okay.
Can they be in the same... Can 2 of them be in the same...
As long as they're fighting those...
Well, because it's a patrol skill, a non-patrol skill,
Well, the other one has
and one
to be
that
a
you don't have.
non-patrol skill?
Yes.
Okay. So, I guess I'll put 1 fail.
Patrol skill.
What defines a patrol skill again, guys?
It'll be in the book. It'll be different for each person.
Whatever your rank is, it's the one
I'm
you
a
start with.
Mouseguard.
Whatever you started with, pretty much. Roughly is that. So I leveled up my fighter and healer and survivor this
Can we
way.
pause for just a sec so we can all find which skills
Yeah,
are...
sure. We're back. We all spent our 3 checks.
So next we're going to go around the table, and you're going to think about what your character's experienced during the last year of the patrol. You're going to reflect on defining the dramatic moments of the experience, and then you're going to make up your own whys that encompasses that experience. It starts with a rating of 2.
Why does this have rating?
I think it's the amount of times you can use them.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, didn't you take
That
short?
No,
No,
that's
that's
trait.
traits.
Oh, sorry,
No.
lots.
Because like, I think the wise like you have a wise, and you can use it with
That actually might be a holdover
And then-
from the old rule
Yeah,
book.
because then you can even swap them out or something. Like once you accomplish the bingo card or something. Like,
Anyways, you get a new wise based
Yeah.
on your experiences.
Routing. No, wait, that would just be...
Well, why don't we go around and explain the stuff that he was talking
Yeah.
about?
That's a good
But
way
what
to
was
start.
the... Can you repeat the thing?
You just you reflect on your experiences, and you try and think of either a group of things that happened to you that were really significant, or 1 defining moment.
Well-
And then you figure out a way that it affected your character and made them wise to that. It gave them a specific knowledge about that thing.
I would say that Finn was throughout the whole journey. The weather was really affecting us. So, like early on, we started with a heavy winter. That was a struggle to go through. At the end, it was also heavy winter. That slowed us down. We'll do with everything, and so on, and so on. So generally, the weather was the big thing that affected him in this year. So I think weather-wise,
No, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I agree.
Okay.
I was actually going to do the same thing. That's hilarious.
do it.
Now we're gonna play in a fucking abandoned city in a biodome.
Well, I'm not gonna do it now. We have to
I mean,
do
you
this.
can. You know,
It's fine, though.
It's
I'm just gonna
not
make something
exclusive, really. So that way you can give me bonus with the weather-wise and give you bonus with the weather-wise.
Yeah, just explain how it affected your character.
Someone else go.
I mean, you can go Nicole if you want to have
Well, I'm gonna think of something else because I was kind of thinking of how much she almost killed herself, and I want to think of something.
health-wise. How to tend to your aging parent
Right?
in-law.
Okay, I'll go down with then. A lot of what Renard dealt with was trying to convince large groups of mice to go against their nature and kind of do the right thing. And try to maneuver around that. Not sure what that would be as a wise, though. It was
We
a
don't
lot
have a
of
phrase that-
politics, or
Strategy-wise?
Mob-wise.
mob-wise.
Mob-wise. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mob boss. Okay.
Well, I think like every session that could possibly fitted unbelievable amounts of violence. So,
I
what
mean,
to do with that?
Can I suggest that since a lot of the later sessions, well, I mean, even the first one, this year you had a lot of interaction with birds. That seemed to be the
Was there a
theme for
bird in the
Q.
first session? Didn't we?
Yes, with
I took its eye out. The fucking shrike.
the shrikes, exactly. The shrike, the
Birdwise.
crow, and the owl.
Yeah. Birdwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, alternatively, I was going to suggest something like stunt-wise, or doing stunts. Stupid
Alright.
stunts.
No, those. I'm probably not going to be able to keep doing that. I'll
Your
probably
leg,
eventually
yeah.
die.
Right?
Oh no, the leg. I didn't even think of the leg. I just meant the train's got to run out eventually, guys. I'm 51.
Check.
Is that everyone?
Nicole?
No, I still haven't gone. I don't know. I want to pick something else.
You did a lot of stealthy things.
I did. I don't know.
Or we could, like, maybe you had one moment that was really impactful, was like, hey, dealing with those chemicals and so on, with all that spruce stock. stuff.
Poison-wise, chemistry-wise, scent-wise.
I'm just trying to figure out how to
Alchemy-wise.
use it in game too. Right?
I mean, alchemy was like, hey, let's figure out what this concoction is, or like, hey, let's do this to, I don't know, make some brew something up that's poisonous to people.
that makes sense, but I think that all of the violence really is much more impactful.
Okay.
Like her previous night Mouseguard experiences were more scouting, pathfinding, patrolling kind of stuff. This was way more violence heavy, so I want to tie it into something to do with that. Also, this is the first time she's encountered and like weasels and birds and shit. Like she has never fought other like animals like that.
So, war-wise? Combat-wise?
I don't know if you can take that though. That sounds cheaty.
War-wise? No.
Well, not war, which we're not in a war anyways. But also like battle or like whatever. It just sounds like that's cheating.
I mean, combat-wise, be like, hey, you double down on like, hey, learn how to properly train. What's the proper techniques of stuff afterwards?
I mean, it's more important just that that you can point to a way that it impacted your character. I mean, especially for a wise. If you feel like you've been through a lot of battles, and you started off as more of an inquisitive mouse, but this was violent, and now you're battle scarred. Like battle wise is not. It's no more unbalanced than weasel wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is one from the book.
Then yeah, I'll take that. Because yeah, that was the thing that definitely impacted it the most.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing that we do as we get into the section for traits. And to start this process, each one of you picks a different person at the table. You can't pick yourself. You don't have to pick the same person that picked you. And then you represent that person and you talk about how they played the game, how it impacted you, how you feel about that character, and then you nominate a new trait for them to have based on what you think about how they did their character.
Based off the list of traits.
Nope, you can make them up.
Was easier.
Where are the traits, though?
Because that's going to be easier.
That is going to be easier.
Traits like start or massive or small or stuff. Like you just make them up. There's no list.
There is a list.
There are.
There's a list of suggested ones.
I never saw a list.
How do you think I picked up short?
I just thought you were a creative individual and a free spirit.
Nope.
You said
That was the best fucking reply.
the tone.
Nope.
Scarred is on 266, so...
260.
255 is where it starts.
Thank you.
I mean, the book copy off is me.
Does anyone want something specific?
Fucking favorite trait for our different traits.
Well, I'm just thinking of like all of you right now.
Should we pause or should we keep going?
I'd say maybe pause while we're all looking for the
pause,
traits, and then
think
Yeah, all right, we're back.
Let's start here and go around.
All right, so I picked Gwyn as the character I'm going to describe, and a lot of her action required like quick thinking. We sent her on a lot of missions that required her to be fast and precise. Additionally, she used improvised weaponry such as the Owl's Talon to fight as a sword. So I'm going to grant her quick-witted.
nice.
Win, who did you pick?
This one.
I was going to go
I
on
mean,
the
it
table.
could be like
Okay.
cheater.
Way to fishtail the session.
You. You're next.
Okay. So I picked Gearhart because Gearhart, whenever danger was near, she was first going in, risking herself many times over. So I think Gearhart should be fearless.
I like it. I really like it.
Because charging to face a danger without the thoughts for her own safety.
Yeah.
To the T.
I like it. Me, I picked Kevin's character, Renard.
Renard.
That's why I couldn't call the weasel Renard. Unless that'd be hilarious if it was like your name was Robert and his name was Robert. It's like, you named me after the weasel?
Coincidence.
Coincidence. Robert.
Yeah.
You're always a little
Just like
long.
my
Yeah, you and your fucking brother.
Your weird love child between you and a weasel.
No, it's just funny. God damn you. God damn you all. Anyway, Nard was a leader and was taking charge and was constantly dealing with like the people who were in charge of all the different situations we were in every city, and like the heads of organizations, like the head of crime, the head of the guild, of the merchants, the city stuff. So I was going to say that Renard should have leadership.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. And I chose Finn. Finn was very much a scouting mouse. He was always like going ahead, checking for traps, doing like that was the thing he did most of the time. He's very good at going unspotted and very good at spotting danger. I went back and forth a few times on which one that I thought would suit him best, but I think sharp-eyed is a good one.
Okay. Next, you can change or elevate one of your traits. So this time you pick one of your own, and then we go around and you name a trait that you think should either be changed into something else or elevated to the next level.
I pick short. Heck yeah.
Can you convert a trait into a trait you already have?
No.
I mean, you can just elevate the one you have, and then you have both.
Just wondering.
All right. I'll start then.
Okay.
I think I'm going to switch Innocent to Jaded. This was a really hard year on him.
Oh, this is average.
Yeah, like just people around him. There were so many chances where people were going to die or got impaled. He got to see a lot of the worst aspects of mice.
Yeah, the mice in this were dickheads.
Yeah, and his nature already makes him feel like he's a bit different from them all. Like he's braver than them. He doesn't fear weasels. He's much more like willing to charge into a situation. And seeing mice act the way they are, where they were seriously considering selling out one of the Mouseguard, who were there to like save.
Who's a war hero?
Yeah,
your
a war
mom.
hero. So yeah, he's switching to Jaded from Innocent.
Well, Finn's doubling down on his short, or tripling down at this point.
Tiny baby bird boy.
Yeah, because, hey, he's been out in the world, and it's much bigger than, he even imagined. And the people are bigger, and the threats are bigger, and everything's bigger than him. But, use that to his advantage. Nobody knows the small thing. Nobody, thinks of him as a threat that he can, do at it. And, yeah.
And you did use it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have two thoughts. One was double down on fearless, because this seems to be a thread with her, with the madness. Two, take Hobbled I just got, and turn the fact that she just got a serious ability injury to her into something that she's actively looks to start to subvert and turn into heavy, where she's worked out and exercised all those muscles and gotten into shape she hasn't been in since the war. because she was using her weight and her being a bigger, stronger mouse in most of her things, where it's like, oh yeah, be rougher. So instead of hobbled, it's heavy. That's my pitch. What do people think?
Yeah.
I think Fearless...
I think this time she was super fucking superior.
Yeah, because, like, heavy... You already are scarred, so you can use that for being, like, tough or whatever.
But heavy's like, pushing something off a cliff, flipping something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're putting more weight into everything to compensate.
Yeah.
Wouldn't heavy have a lot of overlap with massive, though?
Oh shit, right, I have massive. I actually forgot I had. Like, it's here on the sheet, I didn't even see it.
What about, like, tough?
No, scarred would be tough.
Or stubborn?
You know what? No, I think I'll just double down on fearless. I think I'm gonna go with my gut there.
Okay.
I forgot. It's on the sheet and I didn't even see it. So I'm just gonna put a little ×2 on fearless.
Are you ×1 at all?
What?
Did you have, like, the big trait, right?
Massive.
I have massive, scarred, hobbled, and now I have fearless ×2.
All of them at 1. Okay, sure.
Well, I mean, I could have bumped massive up to ×2, but fearless I think is going to be more
that's fine.
omni useful for the
Yep.
kind of shit I engage in specifically.
Cool.
I think I'm just gonna double down on quick-witted.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't really want to get rid of my wolf's snout because that's like a natural part of her body, so it'd be weird to get rid of it.
I mean, after the last stint, you may be like, oh no, I lost some sense of smell after that whole incident.
That is fair.
Now I'm jaded.
Fact.
On the way back, you were like picking your nose, and someone jostled your elbow, and you're like, oh god.
And I also do kind of like the fact that you have a really extreme sense of smell, but also it means that you can sometimes get a little bit too bloodthirsty, which I think we were seeing a little bit more in the end there, where she kept wanting to light the entire forest on fire and shit.
Firebug.
Right?
I mean, was that Gwen or was that just Nicole?
Arsonist, the trait.
I think it was both. Also, the fact that Gearhart keeps doing crazy shit, so it's encouraging that side of her.
Gearhart is what you're going to look like at 50. A big, scary, scarred-up adventurer.
But yeah, I'm going to double down on quick-witted.
Okay. And now I get to go around and adjust people's traits.
Oh, cool.
Oh, no.
I get to change or remove traits.
Oh.
I pick for each person one trait, and I either change it to another trait of my choosing, or I remove it.
You son of a
The
bitch.
exception is that I can't adjust a trait that was either added this session or elevated or changed this session.
Oh.
You son of a bitch.
It's not really meant to be a bad thing.
It's like, Peter, you grew up, you're no longer short. And it's like,
Yeah. Bye-bye, rank 3.
Well,
Get out of here, you
only
son
thing
of
you
a
can
bitch.
touch on me is independent.
Yeah.
From being from Coppertown.
So, Reynard, I don't think that you were very impetuous throughout most of the adventure. You tended not to really like go off the handle or be impulsive all too much. But you were often very clever and sometimes manipulative, especially in dealing with people. You tended to work a crowd more than just plainly stating facts. And you often tried to find ways to get around or subvert things. And like when the crows were fighting, trying to run off and like be their prey. So I'm changing impetuous to cunning.
to what?
Cunning.
Thank you.
Peter.
Only independent you can touch.
There was an entire episode where I wrapped him up in a bundle and was like holding him and stuff.
Yeah. Independent is a good one to change because you were
More
often
teamwork.
very much part of a team. And especially you worked your angle as a scout and a pathfinder a lot. You were often leading the charge, but you used your small to good advantage to always do it unseen and hidden and under the radar from danger. So I'm changing independent to stealthy.
Ooh.
Awesome.
You know who else was a scout? Bumblebee.
Gearhart, I can only change massive or scarred. I feel like it would be kind of a dick move to change massive.
Massive I used a lot. Scarred I noticed having problems with.
Yeah, so I'm changing scarred. I think one of the things that stood out was the way you acted towards the other members of your patrol and the people that you were around. So I'm changing scarred to protective.
Sure, that makes sense.
Motherly.
Let's not call it what it's not. No mother acts like this.
I mean,
I am still scarred though, canonically. Just I don't use it for. I don't flex people on it.
Yeah, your scars didn't heal.
Yeah.
It's just not a trait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You don't
no.
leverage
Even I noticed that it wasn't really coming up as much anymore.
Gwyn, I almost regret changing Inquisitive because I think that it does fit you, but the other two traits fit you more, so I'm going to leave them alone.
Okay.
You always really threw yourself into things, and whenever there was danger, you were gung-ho to get into it. You never stopped to ask questions or think about your own safety, so I'm changing Inquisitive to Adventurous.
Awesome. That really fits my my belief too, which is a life without adventure is a life not lived. So there you go. Is that a trait in the book? Or...
I don't know. I didn't even look. And no one can have more than 5 traits. I don't think anyone does.
I've got 5.
I've got 6.
I have
You
a
have
question.
6?
Is it individual ones, or is it also no more levels?
No, they can be leveled as much as you want.
Oh.
You just can't have.
It's different.
So do I need to swap that then?
I see open-minded, impetuous, foolish, innocent, and compassion. And
And
impetuous
leader.
got changed to cunning.
Yeah, and leader was the one that I got added.
So I'm going to remove foolish.
Okay, cool. He grew up.
Makes sense. He's jaded and shit now. He's not like gonna be like foolish because.
Everything's fine, guys.
And now we go to promotions.
Woo.
The main promotion being Tenderpaw to Guardmouse, which falls to you.
Mm-hmm.
You get to decide and reflect upon his behavior and how he acted,
Mm-hmm.
and then you make your case whether he either needs to repeat a year or if he's promoted.
Yeah.
If he is promoted, you have to pick his cloak color for him.
That's why I'm excited.
He has more than proven himself in every single way, and I
What?
am going to grant him a autumn orange cloak.
We don't have... so your circles and resources go up by 1.
Ooh.
We don't have any other promotions, so the only other thing is if anyone wants to retire their character, this is the point where they can.
So my resources go up by 1 and what?
Circles go up by 1.
Okay. 2.
And then that's the winter session.
Awesome.
I think there's a few good years left in Gearheart.
You're just gonna play her till she dies, like straight up. That's
Drive it like you stole it.
Like, what would she be doing once she retires?
Hanging out in the fortress, training people how to be murderers.
Eh.
So now
Also, can I have that weasel blanket?
Do we just
Here?
take him and kill him?
I just want to check in on that because there are scientists in this town with very little morals, so I could probably flex them.
Oh my god.
No, I think killing and skinning a weasel is a little beyond the pale. And
Right,
you-
I wasn't sure where we stand because again, Redwall, Satan's in there. I didn't really know where we were.
We probably would have brought him back for questioning, because that's very important for this.
Did you?
Yeah, most likely. Otherwise, we'd have
Okay.
to leave him there to be like an experiment.
To be imprisoned over the winter.
Yeah.
Mm.
It feels better to bring him back so that, people who are established at being good at this can question him.
Okay, well, if I didn't kill and skin a sentient being and turn him into a blanket, I'm going to needle him every day on the way back.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So now we can talk about the system a bit, how we liked it, how we felt about it.
Oh.
I think I'm going to start. I obviously really liked the system, but I think we were hindered a bit by how spread out the sessions were, especially with consistency of the rules and learning it a bit. I think if we were to return and do a season 2, I'd really like it to be at a time of year where I can do like 6 to 8 weeks and consistently do it week to week. Because I think the biggest problem with the system was just having like week-long gaps between sessions.
Yeah.
You mean like when we physically got here to play?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not for, well, yeah. I like in the system that you have the whole player turn, GM turn as like structured thing. Like, oh, this is time for you guys to do whatever you want to accomplish stuff. At the same time, it's a little bit gamey. With like, hey, I use a trait against myself to gain more, spotlight later, and so on and so on. So that's
like
a lot of the system feels that you can game it in some way, which I don't necessarily like.
I actually basically agree with everything you say, except I like that aspect of it. I don't think gaminess is a bad thing in the game. Like, not to be a cunt about it.
I mean,
but not to be like, oh, well, it being gamey is not bad in a game, Peter.
I mean, this gaming says like, hey, I'll keep one of my traits at 1 so that I can sacrifice it so I can heal myself, and then with one check get it back up to level 1 again. Type of gaming.
I mean, that really depends on the player so much as the...
I mean, I don't think it does depend on the player because the system's like that.
Yeah, I mean,
At some point, the system has to take responsibility for that shit, because if you're playing an RPG and the system incentivizes a behavior, it's the RPG's fault if that behavior isn't constructive to the narrative that it's set out to build. So if the game is telling Peter, you should do that whole keep a skill so you can keep burning it and keep stumbling into nails in your data jack so you forget how to drive a bike every season, then that should be a part of the game that it's looking to encourage, like a comedy.
Can you explain to me how that works?
Also, yes, let's figure out if this is real or not.
Okay, like, there was something that if you have some condition, whether it was like tired or injured, something like, or sick, early on, I remember that there was a clause that if you fail it, like
I feel like that's a real edge case though. I mean, keeping a skill at 1 just in case you get injured to auto fail it, like. I mean, you can, but
it's like.
Wait, so what is auto-failing the skill?
No, it's like...
Because I was injured.
No, like, if you want to heal
I've
yourself...
auto-failed weaving
they're
and
like,
been uninjured?
There are like a couple options. Like, either you can do a check yourself, or someone can do a check for you, or you can use some... Like, you can pay an apothecary to heal you, and you'll use their skills. Or you can decrease one of your skills to auto-succeed.
Wait, so I get rid of basket weaving.
I think it was a trait. I'm going to look that up, because I don't know if it's a skill.
Let's pause and look that up to see...
I mean... like...
I know we're picking at your one specific example, but...
I remember that being a thing that we did at some point just to get out of a problem.
Okay, that single example might not exist. You might have misinterpreted it.
Okay.
But I'm going to go back to it's called the Iron Man thing. Like, instead of a straw man where you build a fake thing, an Iron Man you go from strongest point. Let's assume that is incentivizing the game. I don't think it's bad that a game gamifies the narrative it wants out of you. On principle. Like, if it's badly implemented, yeah, that's a problem. That's on the game for not doing it right. So, like, what I really liked out of it was the GM turn is basically the entire session, and then at the end of it, it comes to the player's turn, and you start spending time slots like in Persona.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty rad, and that's something that...
No, finish.
Oh, that was something I thought was pretty rad, and like something that appealed to me for Persona and for Mouseguard. The fact that, you know, you had the story part and then the decompression part, and then the story part and then the decompression part.
So, I found what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and it's for sickness. If you're sick, you can get a healer to heal you, and they pass an OB4 test. If they're successful, it's cured. If they fail, the sickness permanently reduces one ability or skill of the GM's choosing.
Okay.
So you can't just keep one skill.
Yeah.
You can't just constantly forget basket weaving because you're a shadow runner, got into a bike accident, got a nail in your data jack, and forgot how to drive.
Okay. So
every day
that's a little better. Counterpoint to what you were saying, Devon.
Mm-hmm.
I also like, the GM play a turn, but we also do that in our games, and we flip the order, and I think it's better that way. That you start with something smaller that you're gearing up, like getting the flow, and then the big stuff comes in, which is flows better in the session. Yeah, and then you end up in the big thing, and so on and so on. Then
it sounds like both of us want the same thing, and the suggestion would be. The game starts, and it's like the first session is like the GM's turn, and then we accrue our checks. And then next session, we start with the player's turn, spend our checks, and then move into the GM's turn, and do this constant staggered dance for the whole game.
Yeah.
That seems like that's just the natural fix. I bet you the book says something about that in there somewhere. Maybe. Because it'd be crazy not to think of that.
Yeah.
Because, starting small, getting into the character, like... The GM's turn, the player's turn, I always find in our games, and Mouseguard is a great way to get into character and get in the mindset, so you're ready to tackle the big stuff that's about to happen on the GM turn, where everything's going to go bad. What do you think, Ty?
Yeah, I could see that working.
Also, talking about a little bit of mechanics, I like the nature mechanic that it's like between you being human and you being more of a mouse, and that you also have to keep it in check. Because like, I'm at like nature 6, I already have like 6 passes, so like a couple more fails, I'll become too mouse to be able to play. So I have to start figuring how to tax my nature in order to reduce it and like keep it in check. So a little bit like World of Darkness humanity without those crappy repercussions on either end, but it's an interesting thing to like keep in balance, I suppose.
And also, it's not necessarily even system-wise, like the stuff that you're talking about, but also it's just fun to set it at the beginning of the game so you can figure out how to play your character.
Yeah.
And the way it explains it is really helpful.
Yeah.
Like, you and I both have a fairly high nature.
Yeah.
And
Kevin has the lowest one.
Exactly, and that makes sense. He's like a...
I have really high nature, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's kind of weird,
confusing
actually.
me.
Yeah, you act very contrary to mice.
Must protect children.
But you also should have been taxing your nature a lot more.
I think
I think it's because something I didn't really catch until later on.
We didn't know.
Every time you used your persona points to roll on fighter, which you did often, you should have been taxing your nature by 1.
Yeah,
which temporarily reduces it.
I think during the downtimes we've discovered in the first like session or two, I was like spending the downtime to like repair that.
Yeah.
Or it was like it only taxes it on like a fail. I think it said or something. Like I almost feel like we had this conversation, but I don't remember it too well. Where it was okay as long as I wasn't fucking up constantly on it.
We definitely need to keep better track of the nature flowing. Definitely, that's something we'd have to focus on next year. So, I like the persona points, which tend to like boost yourself up when you really need to. At the same time, Fate kind of felt.
Feels a little lackluster.
Yeah, it's like.
Fate is good for the wisest, right? Like Fate is where the wisest become powerful.
I mean, no, you can use Fate or Persona with your wisest.
Right. Well, what is Fate?
Okay.
Can we define that
Fate,
again?
you can spend to take your 6s and roll them again.
Okay, that's good for me, but not for you guys.
In like roughly, if you roll 6, which is already a good roll, you get 1 extra die. Versus like Persona, 2 at least dice for each roll.
I was doubling my die pool every single time with Persona points.
Yeah, Persona is like really much better than Fate in my regards. So,
I mean, Fate points were good because they were like a baby meta currency. Like Persona points are meta currency, and Fate points were like, hey, you kind of accrued these and don't use them because they suck. So this is the session where you're going to spend them, buddy, because you were having Persona points earlier on.
well, in order to spend Fate, you have to succeed at the 6. So that's since you might need it, but you won't be able to do anything with it.
I mean, Fate is kind of a consolation prize, but I see what you're saying. It would be nicer if it was a little better.
Like
Even if Fate let you reroll a die.
like
Any die.
reroll something or have some other use that go like yes, I want to have Fate because it's good for something.
Yeah, because like Fate being predicated on rerolling all your 6s for 1 Fate point is predicated on having a high enough dice pool where that would actually matter.
Yeah.
Whereas spend a Fate point to reroll 1 die consistently and you never get this D6 reroll, like 1 Fate point for 1 die would actually be like it's spending a point to get an extra die.
If you use a wise, you can use it to reroll a single failed die.
If you use a wise.
Yeah.
You know when I used a wise? This session. Like session 6 out of
Like
6.
some of the wises that are sort of like thrust upon us during character creation, sometimes might never come out. Like Legend of the Guard wise, like kind of wishy-washy at times in comparison to something.
Yeah, we really were doing the red wall thing,
Yeah.
which is where Legend of the Guard Mice kind of comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of mine were based around that, like celebration and recipes and whatnot. Recipe came up a few times, thankfully, but yeah.
I mean, Weasels came up for me. I'm not actually really complaining about that, but when that's the gateway for leveraging out Fate.
Yeah. And there are other uses for wises, so it's not just that. Plus, I think I was reading some rules like, what if you get your wise bingo of like pass, fail, fate, or something, and it was a bit confusing. What do you do with that?
Yeah, wises have always been a sticky part of the game. They were really confusing in first edition, and they tried to iron them out for second edition, and I don't think they totally succeeded.
Yeah, why does it need to be ironed out a little bit?
I mean, second edition came out in 2015, so this version of Wises sounds like someone saw aspects in Fate and went, we'll do that. I mean, but in a way that isn't quite as accessible.
I mean, even like we were looking at the Wises for the Winter Turn, and some of that talk there is from apparently first edition, and also for the bingo. I think it's also using some stuff from first edition, which is in the second edition. So someone, I don't think even touched, just copied pasted it, and someone else changed half of it, and the other half is non-congruous. So there needs to be a revise of the Wises, definitely. Also, it's with a skill that you can only have so many skills until you like lock yourself out of having new ones or something.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, for mouse, yeah, sure, that's interesting enough. I guess some of the skills maybe like blend themselves a little bit too much, like Pathfinder, Scout, they're almost overlapping. Or like Survivor is also on top of that, and Weather Watcher, like
Orator and Persuader.
Yeah.
I think that it's good that there's overlap, but not they're not completely the same, because then that means more people can aid, so that's good.
Oh yeah, true.
And also, yeah, because you can't use the same skill to aid. If there was if they were more condensed, then they'd have to change that rule or whatever.
If you have them more distinct, that would be better, because sometimes you like during character creation, I got like Scout 3, Pathfinder 3 or 4, and like guys, like I have two different skills to use for the similar areas. That's
yeah, it is kind of a pain to have to buy both if you want to be good at both. Yeah. But like Orator and Persuader, for example, not necessarily the same thing. Maybe you just want to do a really impressive speech. Or Pathfinder is finding the right path. Scout is more searching for danger. Like you can see how they're a little bit different, and the fact that you can only aim like one skill.
Pathfinder, finding the right path. But what if you try to use a Pathfinder for something else? Like you have Pathfinder, you don't have Scout, and you want to leverage having Pathfinder to do anything other than finding a path. Literally, what the name of the skill is would be useful to have. Something there. Like the pass-fail mechanic for leveling up, like a little bit old school RPG-ish, I guess. Like, I'm not really feeling it that much, but that's just my preference, I guess. Like some of the abilities never came out, like resources, circles, will.
But I mean, that's more on me than it is on the system.
Yeah, it's like. If we're more specific on something,
this was less about like political stuff and like dealing stuff. It was so much as going from one place to another. And,
like how much resources circles do you have?
4 and 3.
Yeah, that's a significant trait that we never rolled this year once. So I think we as players have to know when can we use it? We're in town, we should be rolling circles or resources to get something with the pool we have or something.
Yeah, I mean that also collides with all the contacts and friends and enemies and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost feels like you don't need both. Like circles
a little bit.
Thing when you have all these people.
Yeah.
I don't know because it didn't come up in the game, and also why I wasn't here for most of the sessions. That's why I'm being mostly silent. But one thing I do like is at character creation how you make up all that stuff, and it's no, you have to do this, make up your character. It really helps flesh them out.
All the backstory of the character, that's interesting. I guess I like in the system that you have that progression of time is baked into the system, that you don't go wish-wash I don't know how many weeks pass, seasons happen at specific intervals and things happen. Otherwise we'd be at month 2 or 3 or whatever of our journey at the end, rather than hey, a whole year has passed, things happen, there's a flow to it, which is really neat, I would say. Simple combat, maybe conflict resolution. It's interesting that you have the same conflict resolution for everything that's like a conflict. So that's a nice universal system. So you don't have to have just a combat. You can have different types of conflict.
Yeah, like social or whatever. That is nice because it means that they didn't skimp on the social system essentially because it's the same system.
Yeah, the conflict resolution engine is kind of the shining star here.
And I like that you can use it for weirder things too.
Yeah.
Like where we had the thing where like you're breaking a tree branch and someone is trying to kill you, and it's not just a skill test. Like I hate it when things come down to just
One roll.
Roll strength.
The numbers. Yeah.
Roll strength, get 40.
Yeah.
Roll strength, get 15 plus what your level is right now, so it's a challenge for you. So you have to roll at least 15.
Yeah.
Looking at you, D&D.
Yeah.
The game levels up with you.
Like, I think I liked our first conflict we had, which was against the weather, because we rolled the weather-wise and we know what to sort of anticipate, so we can sort of have actual strategy to it, which unfortunately like, later on didn't come up at all.
It's a bit rock, paper, scissors-ish.
Yeah, so
I don't quite understand why I'd ever do anything but attack or defend.
yeah, like that's another point I have, that attack seems to be trumping all because there's no way to counter attack direct to make it invalid.
There's no rock or paper for it.
You always attack always does things. Like if you rolling a feint versus an attack, you feint can completely fail. An
attack is already like usually the best choice to go with.
Yeah.
It makes feint very difficult to pull off.
I don't know why you were ever throwing feints.
Like if there was some option where like, oh, if you're maneuvering, your attack does nothing, then there'll be more balance because okay, we have to
Now there's a rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
and add to that the ability for the GM to give players hints of what we'll be doing or having to constrain us if we do something else. And then you can have some actual strategy to it. Like again, in our first weather encounter, we're like, we know that it won't change its first or second action. Therefore, we can plan against what it had, and there's something interesting going on. Which, again, later on, like, okay, here's 3 actions, you don't know what it is, plan ahead, attack, because we have nothing for that. I like that, there's the compromise system and so on, which maybe could be like a little tight, because like, sometimes we might just like talk ourselves off the consequence a little bit, or tone down the consequences for actions, but no, that's okay, I suppose. But also like, what was it? Like you have strictly 3 actions in the combat, and if you have more players in their action, someone does nothing, or someone's completely dominated combat, like, attack.
Well, you generally try not to have 4 people on a side.
Yeah.
That's usually why I split it up.
Yeah,
for you guys.
that usually worked better than that 1 or 2 that we had where everyone was in, and it was Gearhart spearheading it because,
screaming mouse sounds.
Yeah. So that was, that's something you have to keep in mind for those conflicts. Yeah, other than that, it's pretty decent, minus those points mentioned. Maybe like feint and maneuver could be something more evocative, or something that has more benefits and weight to it, because again, comparing it to attack, they didn't do as much, I suppose.
I like maneuver, but it needs a little bit of a buff to be
Yeah.
better than just straight attacking.
Yeah.
I mean, attacking needs to be debuffed.
Yeah.
Attacking needs a kryptonite, because then there's no reason not to use it.
Yeah.
I think it would almost be better to swap feint around, so that if you feint someone who's attacking, you feint them out of their attack, and they lose it. And if you feint versus a defend, it has no effect because
Almost
they're
like
just
a
defending.
feint.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then it
You
would
can't feint out a defend.
then it would be worth feinting, and there would
Yeah.
be downside to just straight attacking.
Yep, definitely.
Then I would have had to actually think with the squirrel.
One issue I have with advancement is that you start out like with a variety of skills. Everyone's kind of unique, but everyone's going to be focusing on kind of the same thing as they move throughout. So everyone starts specializing in one thing. So everyone's going to be okay, now we're all about combat skills. Everyone's focuses on that because you get into these situations where everyone has to handle it with those specific skills and nothing else.
So it's also you're snowballing a little bit, like, say, hey, little Finn here has Scout 5, which means, you know, whenever we roll for scouting, Finn will be the best one. And you have like 2 other things for other people, and then it can come that someone in session won't be able to roll anything because they're not the optimal choice.
And then you have to rely on your nature for everything.
Yeah, plus also getting to roll is already you basically getting an experience point. So if you're behind and you can't roll because someone else is better at everything, you're falling behind. So
I mean, finger to head meme. You don't have to spend time drifting towards specialization if you specialize out the gate.
yeah. So like I guess it would be there's an easy kind to do that. Separate people, make people work out of their comfort zone, and so on and so on. That could be a bit on GM. Like, oh,
The issue with making them work out of their comfort zone is if they don't have a skill related to that non-comfort zone.
Yeah,
so
but
they can't raise anything.
no, but then you get to raise that skill you don't have, which you gain your first one and the second and so on. So
Requires test.
yeah, so
you can always succeed by failing as well. So
is that like codified somewhere like in Powered by the Apocalypse where succeed at the cost? There's something specific that.
yeah, it's in the book.
Then yeah, definitely. So yeah, you'd have to be splitting out the party and making them work independently a little bit more.
Make us not do fight stuff.
Yeah, like when you're in town, that's when you do it. When you're on the road, you're obviously going to be stuck together most of the time, at least, until something hits the fan. What else, guys? What else? Yeah, it's really fun that you can fight against weather, and that's a thing in this system.
Yeah, conflict resolution is really well geared towards not being stupid like RPGs do. Like, how many games have we played where it's like, oh, this is a storytelling narrative system. Here are the 78 pages for combat and grappling and bleeding out to death in the gutter. Here are the 3 pages for social, and if you ask for more, why do you need rules to roleplay, you MMO player? Right, guys?
Yeah.
Mouseguard, at least, like, it does it. The entire engine system does all the different things you have to do in the game, and it treats it with equal weight.
Yeah, we're looking at you, Savage Worlds.
We're looking at you, Chronicles of Darkness. It does it. It has a bunch of pages about violence and explosions and car driving and fighting and grappling and choking and drowning.
Entire books dedicated to it.
I mean, Hurt Locker served a purpose that was to kind of subvert that shit. But like when the most common thing I hear on the Mage Discord, or like there's a Discord that has a Mage channel, is I really wish they gave us a fucking book of weapons lists for Chronicles of Darkness so I know what a machine gun did or like a tank. You know that your storytelling game of gothic horror and urban creepiness has gone the wrong way.
I mean, it could be just on the players. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the whole belief, instinct, goals engine?
Oh, that was good. Didn't get challenged a lot on my end because I built my character to not challenge the belief that much.
Yeah.
I mean...
On the other end, Kevin almost never got it because he built his belief to never be not challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like... You figure out the way you want to roleplay your character, and you roleplay that character...
No, I think that's good, though, because it incentivizes you to... What it incentivizes is you to figure out how you want to play your character and be rewarded for it. And because you can fail to get your belief and have it shaken or changed, it gives out a flag that says, hey, either give me a situation where I get to affirm this, because this is how I want to roleplay, or give me a situation where I can choose to subvert it, and that engages in interesting roleplay for a reward.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but so you have like...
Goals are a little... Sorry.
Okay. I mean, yeah, but you have to have some belief that can be sort of like, oh, for me, work smarter, not harder. Like, that doesn't seem like something big that you're subverting in some really earth-shattering way. Yeah, I know you can challenge it in some regards, but...
I mean, that's all you need, though, because it gives you some fodder for a session, or it's like, no, you have to fucking push the rock up the hill. Yeah. There's no smart way to do it.
I think, like, we're comparing it Star Trek, as far as I remember vaguely, what we were playing last year, had something similar, and I think they might have been done a bit better. But I barely remember that system.
Yeah, and as far as like beliefs, I think are fine. You just need to be proactive at the table about it.
Yeah.
And also, now that we know kind of
The
how it
flex.
goes,
Yeah.
pick ones that make sense.
Now let's talk about goals, because goals need one huge change to make goals actually worth anything, and that's to make them non-diegetic.
Yeah.
Really, you don't like that?
See, so how it works, listeners, from my point of view, is goals are diegetic, which is, what is the goal Gearhart wants this session? It's like, well, she doesn't know she's in a session. She doesn't know there's an event happening. She doesn't know that things are going to come up that she's going to aim towards. They're going to be thrown at her, and she's going to have to adapt from there. But the other hand is, me, Devin, my goals run counter to what Gearhart's are.
Yeah.
I don't want Gearhart to succeed at the evening and save everyone. I want my goal to be get into a crying, screaming match with one of her many relatives, or hurt someone's feelings. I want one of Gearhart's goals to be to intimidate on someone she shouldn't and make an ass of herself.
I would almost think that there should be two goals then. One diegetic, one not.
Well, give a player goal, give a character goal. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But
The diegetic goals are super helpful for the DM.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, non-diegetic ones also are like, Gearhart wants to, get in trouble with her relatives. Well,
Devin wants there to be a scene where he gets into an argument and Gear gets worked up and has a breakdown and it's ugly.
yeah.
I know to prep this.
Yeah. Having both.
But
is
it still
definitely-
doesn't tell me what your character's plan of action is.
Well, I always am
And that's-
really wary about that in games because that turns it into the everyone do the Shadowrun thing. And to me, that's we all stop role playing, we all stop playing, and we sit down and go, what do we do?
I
And
mean,
then we go back and forth, and we eventually figure it out, and then we bring it to you, and then we revise it, and then we bring it back.
I mean,
And then we start it up.
that could be almost like
But that might be a
the
personal thing.
GM talking with the players. Okay, guys, what do you want to do this session? Okay, we're gonna be doing this. There are some complications. Something might not get resolved. That's fine. We'll engage you with this. Like, we want to deal with the weasels. We all came in today knowing that we'll be dealing with the weasels.
Like, that is the predence of the session. This isn't a sandbox in the
Yeah.
way people like to portray sandboxes. It's a sandbox in that we can do anything, but we lock it in when we come on in. It's like, today is the session we deal with a weasel siege.
Yeah.
And Garrett's like, I want to do something horrifically violent. And, you're like, I want to be the best scout. And Nicole's like, I want to see something awful that shakes my moral foundation to its very core.
Yeah.
And it's all like, okay, well, weasels, and now I know what to prep for each character, scene-wise.
It was like 2 of our goals in the last session got resolved in a postscriptum after the game is pretty much done. So it's like, whether you complete it or not, like after that is a formality.
The thing is, goals don't really incentivize you. And again, the mechanics exist to push the narrative of the game. So if they're not doing something, they got to get fucked.
Yeah.
And goals, to me, never incentivize me to make a goal that wouldn't just be complete the session's events in a satisfying role-playing manner. There's no reason I wouldn't write that down every time. Like, for Gearhart, it'd be all like, what's Gearhart's goal? And it's like, what are we doing today? We're delivering a package. Deliver the package, more or less. And, like, the game just doesn't tell me to do anything other than that. It doesn't give me a reason to make it counterintuitive of what you guys want.
Yep.
Why would Gearhart have goals not aligned with little baby Bluebird Boy, or her son, or her daughter-in-law?
Right.
Devin, on the other hand...
Some of the goals could be, you want to fucking call all the shit out of people, but maybe Peter wants to go out on his own because he wants to be independent. That could conflict, but I do understand everything that you're saying.
Yeah. Like, Devin's a bastard, man. He definitely has goals that aren't lined up with the rest of the players for the night.
But I mean, like, the majority of goals are like, hey, let's do our mission today, and there's no reason why everybody wouldn't pick the same goal of let's complete the event, the
So
quest.
to harp on goal one more time, the goal in the game is essentially us saying, hey, Tyler, at the end of the session, we're going to get 1 experience point for actually playing the game. Because goal doesn't do anything with this.
Like, if there's some, like, say, mechanical instead of, like, when you're pursuing your goal, you get something.
When you're pursuing your goal, you get an extra die or something. Or
And
when
then
you're
you might-
acting against your goal, you get something.
Yeah. Or, like, if you
But-
abandon your goal or something.
If the goal has to be diegetic, then not doing it or doing it has to present a choice to the character, because then it's in the character's POV.
It needs to be a meaningful choice to possibly not do it.
And the best way to solve that, by the way, is just make it non-die. It is to make it so that it doesn't have to be die-gag.
Yeah.
As soon as you can say your goal can be something you or the character wants, it doesn't have to line up. Pandora's box is open, because hey, 9 out of 10 times I'm going to be like something that Gearhart wants, but maybe I'm like, no, I want to show that she has these problems, so I'm going to pitch this to Tyler as my goal.
That's Chronicles of Darkness.
Fair enough.
I think it's the only big stick in my craw. Like, the fact that whenever I sat down to do my goal, like, it's the one black mark that stood out every session. I sat down, it's like, okay, guys, what's your goal? I'm like, oh man, my goal is going to be, I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Something Gearhart wants. Like, I was ready to be like, oh man.
So yeah, I guess that's enough harping on that.
Yeah. To pull back a bit and look at Mouseguard as a system, it almost feels like skills don't need to exist, or aspects or traits don't need to exist. One half of the system doesn't seem to need to exist, and not in like a cut it way. The session should start, and we should be handed out a pile of dice. And as the session goes on, we throw those dice in to be our dice pools. And then we start running low, and that's when we have to kind of find other ways to scare up dice, I think.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't something that I'm seriously suggesting for Mouseguard, but like, it almost feels like the skills themselves don't quite matter as much as if they were like these sort of abstract categories where it's like, hey, I haven't done scouting in a while, so I'll tap scouting for, dice to pop up.
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be like a couple big categories with like,
with the crossover.
Surviving on the road / in the nature, the social stuff, the combat stuff, roughly.
Yeah,
so like if you were converting to something like Power by the Apocalypse, you have like a couple main pluses.
Basic moves and GM cuts.
And then you'd have some flavor to that.
Or if it was like Fate, instead of having skills, you have these chunks of aspects.
Yeah.
And like, you have certain free, what do they call them, compels or raises on them. Yeah. So when the game starts, it's like, hey, you have like 3 free raises on this thing, so you can tap it for points every time. But once you're out, now you got to start scrounging.
Yeah, the traits and the raises are interesting. Like, I like them being able to use it for yourself and against yourself. A little bit, with those checks to just get all of them, punch me in the face. And I think a little bit like, once you get to trait level 3, especially with a trait that you can use all the time, it's like, that can be a little bit swayy because you get an automatic success on everything.
Next season, Fearless goes to 3.
Yeah?
Assuming she lives.
Yeah.
It almost felt like the game, the skills were kind of like, when I'm looking at Mouseguard and kind of how the mechanics are pushing what the game's like, it feels like the Mouseguard skills are just there because RPGs need skills.
Yeah.
Where like, it could have been like, pick 4 or 5 things your character is good at or your character is knowledgeable at, and they get a pool when the game starts, and outside of that, you gotta kind of drag and drop from other things. It's not like a big serious suggestion. I'm not saying we overhaul the game or anything. It's just something about skills seems a little unsatisfying. I have fight. I never need another skill again for a third of the conflicts we get into. I mean, I could have took Hunter, and then I could have also fought and also be catching animals. So in a way, fight is the poor man's Hunter.
I used a lot more skills than you did. Like a lot more variety, and I think it's good that there's the ones that there are. Some didn't come up, but that's just the nature of the game. Not everything always comes up.
To echo Peter, there being Pathfinder and Scout.
But I mean, to echo Nicole, I like it because of the help mechanic.
Yeah. No, you can be all like, hey, you're doing Pathfinder, I'll take Scout. But looking back, that's how it went, though. Someone's like, I'm going to be a Scout. And someone's like, I'll take Pathfinder. And someone's like, I'll take the Weather skill. So it's like, it's a game of musical chairs, where it's like, wherever someone sits, you pick the chairs that haven't been sat on. And then, like, it's like the one person picks the obvious skill, maybe 2 other people pick the secondary obvious skill, and whoever is left not sitting down at the end of the music for musical chairs is like, I don't fucking know, I'll use, like, foraging to find us some berries.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it all gives the same amount of points. 1 extra die.
Yep.
It's not. I don't know if it's a critique or complaint. It's more like an observation. The skills and how they're divided seem like they're... The game is better than that.
Yeah.
Mouseguard's engine deserves more.
Yeah.
Because that seems like that's old design that was there because that's just how games look.
I think you could just have the skills and be trained in them and have them have levels like traits of 1 to 3.
You know who did that? For a fucking crazy system, Star Wars Saga Edition. So when 3rd edition was coming to an end, they released a version of Star Wars. They had a D20 Star Wars game, and it was a fucking nightmare. But they released a version called Saga Edition, which was a long book instead of a tall book. It was like a coffee table book. And it was actually a test bed for 4th edition D&D. Many of the 4th edition mechanics showed up in it, which happened again later with 5th edition. They released an edition of D&D that was kind of weird and was a prelude to it. Star Wars kind of always does that. So in Star Wars Saga Edition, you had your level plus like your strength or charisma bonus, and then if you had a skill tagged, you got an automatic. If you had a skill tagged, you could just roll it normal. If you didn't have a tag, you got like a small minus, and if you tagged it and had a mastery to it, you got like +5 always. So it was like 3 different states the skill could be in. So it was like you're either kind of bad at it, you're either pretty good at it, or you're either so fucking amazing it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because at level 1, you could have like +15 to a skill. It wasn't hard to get.
Yeah.
And then ratchet it up with you. It feels like Mouseguard could take advantage of something like that, where it's like, you know, I am the fight. I am I am the blah.
Yeah. Also, it was like, you know, getting the 8 bonus, like, hey guys, come on, let's figure out how to
That's
jostle
not the
this.
collection plate.
Yeah. It's like, I have nothing in my wallet, man. Would you like a coupon?
I don't know. Again, not really a complaint, more like just an observation that I feel that part seemed incongruent with the rest of the system for what it was going for. For a system that turned fighting, dealing with the weather, hunting animals, dealing with a war, social manipulation stuff with one robust kind of dynamic rock, paper, scissors engine, the skill thing just seemed out of place.
How did you guys like the conditions?
What conditions?
I think I should have used them more.
Yeah,
And especially because it's a thing that does punish giving help. Is that if you give someone help and they get a condition, you all get the condition.
Oh,
You motherfuckers.
that's interesting.
You're gonna get me sick.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, because you were all involved, because you helped.
yeah, that would have been something.
that's cool. I didn't really interact with it that much
Like,
because I wasn't in the game very often.
Like also, like in conflict, helping conflict, that seems to be almost game breaking. It's like, I don't know. It's like oh, whether you get your one roll was like 4 or 5 plus possibly 3. That's a giant sway there.
I think that's good though because the Mouseguard is all about like one mouse is weak, but like together we're strong.
Condition. Yeah, if they come out more often, that would be more interesting. At the same time, getting rid of some of them is a bitch. Like injured.
I was injured for like 2 sessions.
And it forces you to use more checks.
I mean, the thing is, all the checks are independent. So, if you don't have enough dice pool, you might as well not roll it. B, if you fail, well, there's no like getting towards your goal. So like pass fail. It's like, oh, I'm sick. Oh, now I'm not sick. Yay! It's like, plus you're also spending your checks on that, which I don't know. And also, like, it was interesting to have that. Let's do a session recap, so you get rid of one of your conditions or tired or something like that.
I'm
It's
tired or
like
hungry.
a neat mechanic in itself, I suppose.
Overall positive.
Yeah, it's an interesting system. The teams are definitely very strong, very nice.
At some points, I wasn't sure what Mouseguard wanted us to do. I don't know, maybe that was just me not being familiar with it, but at some points in the game, I couldn't tell if the game wanted us to be meek mice who fled from danger, or like crusading woodland eagle scouts who were like, saving people from bears and tigers.
Kind of both. It seems like
I felt like I was pulled in another direction. Like, I didn't know if Gearhart grabbing onto a bird and dropping off of a tree to, like, cloak us from damage was totally out of theme of the game, or, like, the kind of shit you see in nature. Like, that happens in nature. Like, animals will get fucked up and nuts with each other.
Well, I think that, like, that is the theme of the game, is being pulled in two directions. Because
that makes sense.
Mice's nature is to flee and not be brave and stuff, but you're sentient creatures, and you know that you sometimes have to be brave, and you chose this career path that needs it.
That makes sense.
I think like in the first comment there was like some mice got attacked by a snake, and one of the mice tries to solve the comment by jumping into the snake's mouth and stabbing it from the inside.
Which doesn't work that way.
It makes it feel like nature is unnecessary as a thing, like, or as it plays out right now, where it's like, because Guardmaster is supposed to be like the best of the best, the people who don't act completely like mice and go out and, you know, actually do engage in war and whatnot.
It could be like, hey, like a little Finn here, like he's, you know, way above his head here as a little mice thing. He has high nature, so his instinct are to flee, but, you know, overcoming that and so on.
But it doesn't try to encourage overcoming that, though. It tries to say that, you know, being a mouse is good, but if you're too mouse-like, you can no longer be part of the Mouseguard. If you become too human-like, which is just a thing, that you can also not be a Mouseguard. It's... I don't know.
Yeah.
Feels like an unnecessary mechanic. Excuse me.
I guess it would be more interesting with like Chronicles of Darkness, werewolf thing, where like, oh, you have bonuses for either end of the spectrum.
Well, you do have bonuses for either end. With a high nature, you can roll it and get a bunch of extra dice. But if you have low nature, you get extra treats or whatever, which are really useful.
That's only for character creation. Like later on, like bumping the nature, lowering it down, taxing it more, because you can lower nature pretty easily.
It's good for learning new skills, actually, because you test equal to your nature rank. So, so you learn more if you're more human-like.
Oh. I did not know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. No one.
I don't think I have anything else to say.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. Do you got any questions for us you want to throw out? Or any observations? You know the system better than we do, just because you own the actual physical book, so...
I know.
Toss it at us if you got it.
Like, I think the book relies on people having read the comic and internalized the world and so on. Maybe it would be better to like, have a little bit more expose, like directly talking to people. Okay, this is like what the world's like. This is what it's doing. Like in the first session, like, hey, do we use money? Are we the government, guys?
I mean, I never felt like a fish out of water in this game. Like, I never felt like I needed the lore to the book, mostly because I looked at a few panels of the comic and instantly I kind of clicked with what it was throwing down.
I didn't even do that.
It would like set the tone on like, hey, these guys are, you know, we're going to the city. Do we own this place or are we guests?
I mean, that's just normal questions you ask. Like, even if I knew about the lore of the world, I'd still ask that stuff. I'm not trying to shut down what your observation. I'm just, it didn't feel that way to me. Like, I think I kind of got what it was putting out right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's it then.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Well, I guess that's it. You want to wrap us, Tyler?
What do I say?
You say I was Tyler.
I was Tyler.
Kevin?
Peter?
Devin?
And Nicole.
And this, sponsored by nobody, closing out Mouseguard, signing off.